If you're a woman over 40, there's a good chance you've used these words together. Stubborn belly fat. It's everywhere. Stubborn menopause belly fat. Stubborn hormonal belly fat. Stubborn fat after 40. We talk about belly fat as though it has developed its own personality. Like it woke up one morning, crossed its arms, and said, "Nope, I live here now." But I want to challenge that idea today because, yes, where women store body fat can change with age and menopause. Yes, hormonal changes can influence fat distribution. And yes, genetics matter. No, you cannot choose where your body removes fat first. But none of that means your belly fat has somehow become immune to the principles that govern fat loss. So maybe we need to stop asking, why is my belly so stubborn? And start asking a more useful question. Where has my strategy become stubborn? And start asking a more useful question. Where has my strategy become stubborn? Stay with me because toward the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through something I call the stubborn audit. And I'm going to ask you one question that may be considerably more useful than another supplement, ab workout, or search for how to quote unquote fix your cortisol. Because sometimes the thing refusing to change isn't your belly. It's the strategy you're still insisting should work. First, let's talk about what's actually happening after 40. I don't want to dismiss the physiology here because there are real changes occurring during midlife. As estrogen declines through the menopause transition, women can experience changes in body composition and fat distribution, including a greater tendency to accumulate fat around the abdomen. We also tend to lose muscle as we age if we aren't actively doing something to preserve it. Our activity may decrease. Sleep can become more difficult. Stress can change. Our lives change. Put those things together, and yes, your body at 48 may respond differently than your body did at 28. That's real. But here's where we get into trouble. We take, my body has changed, and somehow turn it into, the rules no longer apply to my body. Those are not the same statement. Your body can change without becoming broken, and your strategy may need to change with it. That's a very different message from, welcome to menopause, here's your belly, good luck. No, we have some things we can work with, and that should feel like good news. Your midsection is not a separate metabolic organism. This is where I see women waste a tremendous amount of time and money. They start treating abdominal fat as though it requires a completely different fat loss strategy than the rest of the body. So they search for, how do I lose belly fat? Not, how do I reduce body fat? And that wording matters because it sends you looking for a belly solution. Maybe it's a supplement. Maybe you're looking for a particular food you're supposed to eliminate. Maybe you're seeking the ultimate abdominal exercise. Or maybe it's the latest hormone balancing protocol. But your body doesn't work like a restaurant menu where you get to say, I'd like to lose 4 pounds, please. And could you take all 4 from right here? Wouldn't that be convenient? Unfortunately, you don't get to put your order in quite like that. Fat loss happens systematically, where your body stores fat and where it prefers to remove it is influenced by biology and genetics. That means you can absolutely be making progress while the area you care most about is taking its sweet time showing it. And this is where patience becomes part of the strategy. Not thrilling, but important. Here's where I want to turn the camera around, because once we acknowledge the physiology, we also have to acknowledge behavior. And this is where coaching gets interesting. I've worked with women for more than 30 years, and sometimes a client will tell me nothing works anymore. That's an enormous statement. Nothing? Or nothing you're currently willing to do consistently. Those are not the same thing. Maybe you're eating nutritious food. Wonderful. But you're resistant to looking at how much you're eating. Maybe you're exercising. Great. But you're unwilling to strength train consistently or strength train with enough volume and consistency, with enough volume and intensity. Maybe Monday through Thursday are terrific, but you're still treating Friday night through Sunday as though they don't count. Maybe you keep changing your plan because 3 weeks without dramatic results feels like proof that the plan isn't working. This is where I want you to get curious rather than defensive, because there may be a behavior you have decided is non-negotiable that's quietly negotiating away your results. And that is what I mean when I say your belly fat isn't stubborn. Your strategy is. You might say, but I eat healthy, Coach Jody. This is one of the most important conversations I have with women. I eat really healthy. I believe you, but healthy eating and fat loss eating are not automatically identical. You can eat nutritious foods and still consume enough energy to maintain your current body weight. Nuts are nutritious. Olive oil is nutritious. Avocado is nutritious. Restaurant salads can be nutritious if you're careful, but your body doesn't assign calories differently because the food has a health halo. This isn't an argument for obsessively tracking every bite for the rest of your life. It's an argument for being willing to look at the information. Because if your goal is fat loss and your body composition isn't changing over time, we need data. Not judgment, data. That's what good coaching does. We don't say you failed. We say, interesting. This isn't producing the expected result. What needs adjusting? That mindset alone can change the entire process. Now, let's take a look at the I'm exercising conversation. Excellent. But what kind? Because after 40, preserving muscle becomes increasingly important. And if your entire strategy for changing your body is eating less and doing more cardio, I want you to reconsider what you're trying to build. The goal isn't simply to become a smaller version of yourself. I want you strong. I want you preserving muscle. I want you capable. We also want your nutrition and training to support the body you want 10, 20, 30 years from now, not just the number you want to see next month. Resistance training belongs in that conversation. And here's another place where stubborn strategy shows up. I don't like strength training. Okay, you don't have to love everything that's good for you. I don't love flossing my teeth. I still plan on keeping them. Sometimes adulthood is deciding that the value of something matters more than whether you're excited to do it. Okay, for consideration, the weekend matters too. This one may get uncomfortable. You can be very consistent most weekdays and still not create the weekly energy deficit you think you're creating. Friday comes, dinner out. Saturday is a little looser. Sunday becomes, well, tomorrow's Monday. Then Monday morning, you're right back to being extremely disciplined. And you genuinely feel like you're good all week. Except your body doesn't stop the accounting system on Friday at noon and then reset that very system every Monday morning. Your body experiences the whole week. That doesn't mean you can't eat at restaurants. It doesn't mean you can't have dessert. It doesn't mean weekends need to look exactly like Tuesdays. That's not the point. The point is awareness. If your strategy repeatedly produces the same outcome, you don't need to judge it, but you do need to be willing to examine it. And this is where we arrive at the stubborn audit. If you've been calling your belly fat stubborn, I want you to try something different this week. Take the attention off your stomach for 5 minutes and put it on your strategy. Ask yourself, where am I asking for change while also refusing to change? That's the stubborn audit. And don't immediately answer nowhere. Give it a minute. Where are you negotiating? Where are you defending something because you don't want it to be part of the problem? Where do you keep saying, that shouldn't matter that much? Because maybe it doesn't. But what if it does? This isn't about finding everything you're doing wrong. I don't want a 12-item list. I want one thing, one place where the evidence says this may need to change. And you've been saying, yeah, but that's where I want you to look. And remember, there is an important difference between patience and stubbornness. Sometimes your strategy is working. You simply haven't given it enough time. That's different. If your weight trend is gradually moving downward, your measurements are changing, your clothes fit better, your strength is improving, and you're becoming more consistent, don't blow up a good strategy because your stomach didn't change quickly enough. Remember, you don't control the order, and gosh, I wish we did. Sometimes the area you most want to change is the last place you notice it. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. So don't confuse this isn't working fast enough for me with this isn't working. That distinction has saved many people from abandoning a perfectly reasonable plan. Side note, be sure you are doing more than just tracking the scale. I request photos, measurements, and various scale readings from my clients to fully track progress. If you're unwilling to do that, you're not giving yourself the best chances to see progress. With that, if months are passing and nothing measurable is changing, then we need to stop calling the body stubborn. With that, if months are passing and nothing measurable is changing, then we need to stop calling the body stubborn and look at the strategy. That's not criticism, that's coaching. And please, stop trying to punish your belly away. This may be the part I most want midlife women to hear. You do not need to declare war on your stomach. You don't need to starve it, exhaust it, or hate it into submission. And you certainly don't need to spend the next decade pinching it in the mirror every morning to determine whether you're going to have a good day. Your abdomen is a body part, not a character flaw. The goal is to improve your body composition and health with behaviors you can sustain. And ironically, the more emotionally charged we make one body part, the more vulnerable we become to ridiculous solutions promising to target it. Step away from the drama. Come back to the evidence. Lean into where the objective data lies. Now, here's your action step. This week, do the stubborn audit. Ask, where am I asking for change while refusing to change? And choose one answer. Maybe you need more consistency or better awareness of portions. Maybe you need to finally commit to resistance training. Or maybe you need to stop expecting 5 weekdays to compensate for every weekend. Whatever yours is, don't overhaul your entire life. Work on the one thing you've been defending, because you probably don't need 12 new strategies. You may need to stop negotiating with one old habit. And that brings me to the line I hope you'll remember long after this video ends. Stop calling your belly stubborn while negotiating with the habits keeping it there. Not because every inch around your middle is entirely within your control. It isn't. Not because hormones don't matter. They do. Not because menopause doesn't change things. It certainly can. But because focusing exclusively on what you cannot control is a terrible strategy for changing what you can. Your genetics are not today's assignment. Your age is not today's assignment, and neither is where your body prefers to store fat. So tell me in the comments, if you did the stubborn audit today, what's the one thing you'd have to admit you've been negotiating with? That's the conversation I want us to have. And if you know another woman who's frustrated with stubborn belly fat, send her this video. Not because she needs another belly fat trick, because maybe she needs to stop looking for one. Your belly fat isn't stubborn. Your strategy might be. Do good, have fun, be well.